Okay, welcome back with Happy Chappa. So this is called Exposure, based on true events. Not going to put in the names and why I said true events, not true story, because there's points I'm filling in, but there's also evidence to the story. So there was a time that there became this family of power, this kingdom. And there was this other family who thought that they deserved to have the kingdom. So they would kill off the family that run this kingdom. And doing so, they would crown themselves as the king and queen. And they would record this bloodline. And they would start to record all bloodlines by creating a law under their kingdom. And they would govern all institutions from birth, hospitals, schooling, education, till monitor these bloodlines. And while monitoring these bloodlines, they would look for any indifference where their system would be questioned. And through time, anyone that came up with questions would disappear, as they would have followed them through the systems that they created and understood when they would step out of line how to take them out from existence in their system. And in their system, what they had set up is when they were born, they would create a birth certificate, DNA, fingerprints, and then they would create a death certificate to show that they were dead. And now that they were dead, what would happen is they would be in their system as a dead entity, as we would know as a dead person. Yet you would still be alive in their system. But outside of that, you are dead. And so you become a slave in the system, working to what they have created in their corruption. And as you move through the systems that they create, they monitor if you step out of place. And every time that you step out of place, they come to govern you with people that is put in the system to train you back into it. with mind control, operating within the system, outside of the system that you are, monitoring you. And it comes to this day and age that they have devices of all sorts that they create for you to use, so you can monitor the world while it monitors you in your behavior and what you do. And every time that you do something that is out of line with what they want you to do, they mark it for a watch on you. And so then the more you get marked, the more they start operating on watching you in what you do. So you don't reveal what they do. So when you're born, you're dead, basically. Yet you're physically alive through consciousness of the vessel that carries it. But on paper, you're down as being dead in their system that they created so they could keep hold and keep power of being the king and queen and ruling over the people with their greed. Now as time moved on, people went disappearing and some people were killed. It came into question their system. And more people would question it until we started to see it was being revealed in different ways. They couldn't keep up the illusion of who they be, of their system and how it be. And so then it starts to reveal individuals in the system and how it has been operating in control of the consciousness that these vessels carry. Taking consciousness out of these vessels and controlling them into what the king and queen vessel chose these vessels to rule under, taking away their power of consciousness, being manipulated by their systems through the operations that they would give to them, like computers, mobiles, education, hospitals, doctors, all manipulating the consciousness to be in a certain way, trapping it into a system of belief that that was all there was to be. And while the king and queen done this, and you were classed as dead, they would reap benefits for you, keeping you in the system, creating money, an illusion of exchange for products that would operate in controlling you. Newspapers with stories that would keep you bound to that way of thinking. The news telling you about failings and corruption, creating it in the system of consciousness of this society of dead entities. And so they would claim money for these people in insurance, in policies that they would create out of the birth certificates. And then as they would die, replacing the birth certificate with the death certificate, they would claim these policies and operate these entities as dead beings, claiming on behalf of their bloodline. And as they captured more people into their bloodline or in their system and captured more bloodlines, as these entities would breed, producing more and more dead entities, as these children would be born into death with a birth and death certificate on their arrival of consciousness into a vessel, yet into a system bounded by the king and queen. And so there would be new policies created, more wealth created, and the people would create these systems within the system of the illusion, like the faces, to keep the illusion more advanced in who we are, and spreading the word further and further, giving that excitement into new apparatuses or devices, giving that picture of excitement of something unknown, yet to be fearful of anything that's unknowing outside of the system, so you don't question it. But then we come to a point where so many did question it, and there was several individuals that questioned it and came up to find results in how I explain it to you. And in that, what we find is the system run under a system of law, where it created a legal system under law, with many of hidden messages giving power to it, and power to do this to the people that it would capture with their birth certificates by registering into their system, creating illegal contracts that would go on to make or create policies. And so finally they get caught. We have so many people intertwined into different sections of their system, understanding how it was illegally created and how the actions that they kept carrying out were illegal to the law of all laws, God's law, overpowering the consciousness of these vessels as if the king and queen were God. taking that godly consciousness of choice, decision making for self of these vessels away from them. And as we find the system collapses, as the corruption gets revealed, and people in return get their lives back, gain consciousness, stop being controlled and manipulated by a legal system that was unlawful in law. As it gets revealed and exposed for its unlawful actions in intimidation and obstruction of justice of the law, with their scare tactics being revealed, and deaths that were created in that time of their standing as a legal system. And so we come to a breakdown of the legal system, which brings a new type of living, a new beginning. As all collapses, we get a rise in consciousness, in creation of all, and a knowing of the system that collapsed, the legal system. And in return, then bloodlines who were involved, who were captured, get their wealth back, get a return of what them policies were holding for their death. And so the kingdom collapses, and in return, the funding is returned to the families, the bloodlines that were captured in the system, the consciousness that was trapped in the system, the vessels that carried that consciousness that was trapped in the system, gets a return funding for the slavery that they carried out in their bloodline, being captured in the system, now set free with funding to go off and live free in who their consciousness wishes them to be. Living by the law of God as man's legal system collapses. The rise and fall is here. This Happy Chapper, love and peace.